Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. What is the intersection of AI and blockchain? Paul Brody, head of blockchain at EY, joins me to discuss how they are distinct from each other and also complementary to each other. Paul, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. First, let's start with EY's work in Ethereum. What type of blockchain-based applications is EY developing or have developed for enterprise use?
So the really big drivers for enterprise these days is moving beyond financial services, which has been a big focus for a long time. So where people are investing their money, number one, supply chain management, keeping track of products, managing inventories. Number two, business procurement. So using smart contracts to automate the process of interacting with other companies. Number three, we've got a big growing set of demand around tracking carbon emissions and their associated offsets. And then we're looking at a lot of related areas like asset management. And when I say that, I mean like physical asset management, property, plant, equipment, and then also global trade. So we're moving a lot more into this world of tokenized assets, supply chains, and business operations, which does eventually have a connection to finance, but can also operate and run independently of finance.
Are we close to industrializing blockchain privacy technology?
We are. So this is really kind of the number one issue for a lot of enterprises is they're not comfortable using public blockchains without a good level of privacy. And one of the key issues for enterprises is not anonymity, which a lot of people mean when they talk about privacy. They mean like, I don't want to be identified at all. And that's an issue for some consumers. But for enterprises, they're comfortable with something we might more properly call confidentiality. They're willing to be identified. They're totally fine knowing the regulators know that they are doing transactions. But what's important to them is that they are able to keep the details of their transactions from their competition. And I would say in that particular area, we are really on the threshold of industrialization. We've got part of it done, which is the business of moving stuff around under confidentiality. And then the second phase, which is more emergent right now, is smart contracts like business rules and agreements that can execute automatically, but in a fully private way.
Why is Ethereum poised to become the dominant layer one in the future?
So Ethereum really effectively has already become the dominant layer one. So on almost every measure, transactions, volumes, smart contracts, it is actually the dominant player today compared to Bitcoin. The only difference is that Bitcoin does have a higher market cap, and Bitcoin is really sort of crafted out this very particular role as a kind of a digital version of gold. Over on the Ethereum side is what people are using to run their business applications and their business tools. You can't really develop applications on top of Bitcoin the way you can on top of Ethereum. So it's become dominant. And then the big struggle that Ethereum has had over the last couple of years is scalability. And with the rise of these layer two networks, you can actually stack tens of millions or hundreds of millions of transactions on top of Ethereum, and they kind of consolidate onto that layer one.
Let's talk about the intersection of AI and blockchain. How are they distinct and complementary to each other?
So the way I think about them in my mind, at least to sort of separate them out, is so AI is all about this ability, whether it's large language models or other types of machine learning tools, to make sense with huge quantities of data. And these large language models are amazing in their capacity to do that. But what blockchains do really well is they take very, very structured data, prices, assets, transfers, and they make them what we might call immutable and highly reliable. And in my past experience, kind of thinking about enterprise applications, specifically in the context of enterprise applications, there's the big difference is one of these, blockchain, is about using computing power to get really, really trustworthy, super reliable data. Whereas AI is about taking that data and making some really thoughtful, intelligent decisions based on that information.
So what is the benefit of AI and blockchain combinations? What does that bring to business operations?
So I've been thinking about this a lot, and there's always this thing like, hey, we got to do something about AI. And I do think we are going to see a lot of AI work in the near future in relation to blockchain. There's three things in particular that I'm expecting. Number one, I believe AI, especially these large language models that we know of, like ChatGPT and these other sort of conversational interfaces, are going to change the way people interact with blockchains. Conversation will become the new user interface because the large language models will be able to do a better job of understanding your intent and giving you back the data that you want. That's the first big change that I think we're going to see. Second big change, large language models are really, really good at programming. Like of all the applications that we have seen around the world for these AI tools, the one that has the most proven data behind it right now is that these large language models are amazing at improving programmer productivity. Blockchains are a programming environment. We will see really, really dramatic impact. And then also they will dramatically simplify the work of system integration because they will help, again, understand the intent of software developers and enterprises and translate that into code and solutions that are much more quickly deployable. So those are in the near term, those are the big three effects. But like a lot of emerging technologies, it's super hard to predict exactly where this is going to go.
All right, Paul, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.